when someone asks, like, what is your work about or what do you do, I say, I make visual machines. And the machine isn't activated until the viewer looks at it.
It would be unnecessary.
I have been in Paris for the last 4 months, and it started actually coming to Michael Woolworth's studio more than a year ago. I like printmaking because it's indirect. You don't just work on an image, you work on a surface, and the surface produces the image. So all of what you see over here is from this period, including this small blue print over there. So what Michael's about to print here is the 9th iteration of the same stone that has been reworked. So we are getting to the final step. The differences between the images, I think, are almost as important as the images themselves. How one image got to be or evolved into the next image is, I think, a pretty fascinating thing. But it's really important that they function on their own as well. Simplification is not something I spend a lot of time thinking about. It's more about seeing how complexity emerges from procedures. The line is not always the end result. The lines are invisible until you get very close to the work. You see the lines that generate the image. The image is made of the volumes inside the lines, the cells, if you will, of inside the grid. My teenage childhood was in Palo Alto, California. It was the early days of Silicon Valley. A close family friend was an experimental musician. He was learning how to program computers to synthesize sounds that sounded just like actual musical instruments. You know, surprisingly, I think my work has somehow absorbed some of this thinking about logic, about computers. It's a cliche, but the world finds its way into the work of anyone making. But when it comes to questions like how does that relate to abstraction, contemporary art, or you could even say modern art, it's a reflection of the industrial milieu that we are in. The ghosts are all coming back. You can see the crayon drawing, you can see the scraped off. So I think visual machines is one way to describe the work, and the other is emergence. You make a move number 1 and you make a move number 2. You don't end up in situation number 3, you end up in situation number 4 or number 5. There's a kind of logarithmic, iterative quality. When procedures collide, unexpected things happen. The procedure is so simple, but because of the idea of emergence, the procedure expands logarithmically, visually. Well, when I moved to New York City, I needed to get a job very quickly. I had about $200, and I got a job at a frame shop within about a week. It gave me a certain respect for how work is properly presented and preserved, how things survive over time, and how things are, if they're properly crafted, do last long enough to really be experienced by the maximum number of viewers. So I'm already framing this in my mind, like what will the margins be, how close will they be from each other? I'm basically drawing grids, but they're very, very complex grids, and they don't have regular intervals. And through that very simple procedure emerges not only a very complex two-dimensional space, but an illusion of three-dimensional space. The pleasure of imperfection. I think that might be the best way to describe it. The humanness of the work, yeah.